Lag Ba'omer Sameach, a good Lag Ba'omer. We are learning Mishna Nazir, Perek Gimel, Chapter 3, Mishnah Mishnah 4. Okay. Now, Hareini Nazir Mea Yoim. A person declares, I am hereby a Nazir for 100 days. Nitma Yoim Mea. And he became Tameh on day 100. Now, if he were to become Tameh on day 85, or day 99, right? Or day 99, what would happen? You have to start all over again. That's a fact. That's according to everyone. What?
For 100.
Say right. If it's day 99, if he's basically still in the middle of the term, according to everyone, you have to start all over again. And now you have to start all over again because you became tamei, you became impure through a dead body. You actually have to bring a whole set of karbanos, a whole set of sacrifices, and after that, start all over again. But here the case is that the day that you became tamei was nitma yoimeya. You became tamei on day 100, on the last day. On the last day, that's when he became tamei. Says the Mishnah, Saisar Sakal. He basically has to undo everything. He forfeits everything, even though it's the very last day. If you don't get through that very last day, as we learned in yesterday's Mishnah, if you don't get through that last day, we're not going to say part of the day is like a full day, and therefore we say that the person. Now, again, in this case, he spoke out 100 days. So when you speak out 100 days, you can't say, according to anybody, part of the day is like a whole day. But it's the very last day. Nonetheless, he forfeits everything. Rebbe Eliezer says, he argues and he says, Eino Seiser Ela Shloshim. You will only forfeit 30 days. So, okay, you're talking about here, he said 100 days, and it was day 100, the final day. So Rebbe Eliezer, even though he is going to have to start, he can't just finish it, because since he said day 100, he's got to go through 100 full days. However, nonetheless, the only amount that he has to make up is 30 days worth. And Rebbe Eliezer derives that from the words of the Torah. He interprets the words of the Torah to be saying that in this kind of case, where you became Tameh on the very last day of your term of Nazirus, you only have to go back and redo 30 days worth. Now again, you became tamei from a dead body. You have to go through the process. You got to go through paraduma. You got to become pure. I'm sorry. You have to. Well, you're gonna have to go through the process. I'm making a mistake there. I'm mixing up something else. You're gonna have to go through the process of what a nazir becomes tamei goes through. They got to bring a set of karbanos. He cuts his hair. He's got to start over again. But he only has to do it for a 30-day period. Okay. Now, I just want to stop it for a second and point out something. In the Mishnah that we had yesterday, the Mishnah had a case where a person says, I am a Nazir for 30 days, and he became Tamei on day 30. So he forfeits everything. He's got to start all over again. All 30 days are gone. Now, nobody, and in that Mishnah, nobody argued on that part of the Mishnah. There was no argument. That means even Rebbe Eliezer, who here says you only undo 30 days worth, agrees. You know why? Because the whole Nazirus there was only for 30 days. So therefore, whether you hold that you forfeit the entire Nazirus that you observed, if you only forfeit 30 days of the Nazirus that you observed, if the case was that he said I'm another for 30 days, it makes no difference what you hold. At the end of the day, it's 30 days gone. That means the whole Nazirus he has to forfeit. Our Mishnah is talking about, you said 100, or it didn't have to be 100. It could have been anything more than 30. Where there's a question, when it's on the final day, do you lose everything or only 30 days worth? Okay, next case. Nitma Yaimeya ve'echad. He made it through the 100 days, the first 100 days. And day 101, that he became impure before he brought his karbanos. Before he cut his hair, before he cut his karbanos, he became impure. If he would have gone through the whole process, he would have completely ended his Nazirus and he would become impure. Okay, he's like anybody else who becomes impure. But here we're talking about that he completed the entire term, the amount of time was completed, but he became impure before he cut his hair and brought the karbanos. Says the Mishnah, Seisa Shloshim Yom. you have to forfeit 30 days worth. You're not going to knock off everything. You're not going to go back and knock off all 100 days, but you have to go back and observe 30 days. What's the explanation behind this opinion? So the explanation that's given is that essentially if he became Tameh on day 101, according to Torah law, there would be no reason for him to go back and have to redo anything. He would just become impure. He'd have to purify himself and then go through the process of cutting his hair, bringing his karbonis, which means for another week he's going to be a Nazir because he couldn't end his being a Nazir. But according to Torah law, there's no reason to have to make up the days. You completed the days and that's it. However, the Chachamim, the Tanakama, who are the Chachamim, they were concerned. If you're going to let a person who gets Tameh on day 101 not have to make up anything, then if it happens on day 100, they may make a mistake and say it's the same thing. And don't forget, on day 100, halachically, if you cut your hair on day 100 and you well, I mean, that depends on the case. I'm just seeing something here. I mean, we do know there's a situation where on the final day of your being a Nazir, you could bring your karbanis. You can get a haircut and bring your karbanis, and it's going to work. If you didn't say specifically that amount of days. But there is such a thing as the final day being able to end it. So you might think, the person might think that if they come Tameh on day 101, meaning after they completed the amount of time, and that nothing happens, they don't have to make up anything, they may think the same thing when they become Tameh on the last day itself. And therefore the Chachamim said, we can't just let him go scot-free. We can't just let him go that it doesn't have to make up anything. But to say that he has to go back and start all over again because of this, that they didn't do. They just made sure that he keeps the minimum amount of Naziris. So now it comes out that on day 101, he doesn't just forget it. He doesn't go without making up anything. He makes up something. So people now won't get confused so much between day 101 and day 100. But to say that because of that possibility of confusion, you got to start all over again, that they didn't do. And therefore the Tanakhama says, if you become Tameh on day 101, you only have to basically make up 30 days worth. Rebbe Eliezer Omer, Eino Soiser Ela Shiva. At the end of the day, all you have to forfeit is 7 days. Again, according to Rebbe Eliezer, according to Rebbe Eliezer, if you become Tameh on day 100, what happens? If you become, let me read it to you from here. According to Rebbe Eliezer, the rabbis never decreed that he forfeits any days in this case. Rather, he must simply remain a Nazir for 7 more days while he purifies himself from his tumah, that he can go to the Beis HaMikdash and conclude his Naziris with shaving and bringing the offerings. According to Rebbe Eliezer, there is no such a gezerah, no such a decree. If at the end of the day, you made it through all 100 days, and it's day 101, you don't got to make up anything. And even though he said, Rebbe Eliezer himself says that if it happened on day 100, you're going to have to go back, you're going to have to make up 30 days. But again, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, he held that when it comes to the Rabbanan didn't make any kind of a gezerah once you actually go ahead and finish the term of the Naziris, but you're going to have to be a Nazir for another 7 days because until you're pure again, you can't cut your hair, bring the karbanis, which is what ends your being a Nazir. So therefore, practically speaking, you're going to forfeit and you're going to have to do another 7 days, but you're not going to have to do anything more than that because there is no decree that the Rabbanut, that the sages made for people to say that if you became Tameh on day 101, you got to do something so as not to cause confusion with day 100 itself. Have a wonderful day and a good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.